Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you are watching third part of What If Naruto Was Trained by Dark Emperor. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto smiled when he felt someone following him through the forest of death after he sent his two teammates back to their hotel with the Kumo team. He stopped and waited for the person to show himself before turning around. The person who did that was none other than Aburame Shino, who now seemed a little, well, nervous and was keeping a safe distance from him.
Most likely, he did it because he was afraid Naruto would use his power on him and hurt the colony that lived in his body.
Hello, Aburame Shino. I've been waiting for you. How have you been since our match earlier? Naruto asked as he saw Shino bow his head slightly but still look shaken by what he did. Shino said, I'm fine, Namikaze-san, but I'd like to talk to you politely about what you did in our match. His bugs were worried about him doing this, so he told the bug user to be careful. Of course. From what I know, everyone in the Aburame clan is smart and understanding, and they deserve respect for what they can do. You said you wanted to talk to me about what happened during our match, Naruto said as he sat down on the grass and signaled for Shino to do the same. Shino said, yes, I want to know what you did to my allies during our match. From behind the red-black hood, Naruto gave him a friendly smile and a small laugh. The power I use is older than this world. It's a cosmic energy like chakra, but it's different and it's called the Force. It surrounds all living things, including the insects you have in your body. When I used my power against you, I used it so that your insects would listen to me through simple suggestion, and they did so because they do not have a squeamish bone in their bodies. Shino said to Namikaze-san, this power you call the Force is very interesting. It sounds almost like something the Senju clan would have because of their connection to nature, as he watched Naruto laugh more and act differently than he did in the central tower. Similar, but different, and something this world hasn't seen before, Naruto said as he got up from the ground. Shino did the same, and the two of them shook hands. Shino said, thank you for telling me about Namikaze-san. He now respected the blonde and would be more careful if they ever met on the battlefield and were fighting against each other. Please call me Naruto, since formalities aren't my thing. As for what I told you, I must ask that you not tell anyone about the Force and even more so about this conversation, since it will cause problems for the two of us. Knowing your counsels, they will accuse you of talking to a possible enemy, which will cause problems for your clan, Naruto said, seeing Shino raise an eyebrow and look confused by the request.
Shino said, I don't see why they would do something like that, since it didn't make sense to say such false things.
Just like it doesn't make sense to punish a child for the demon he carries, Naruto said, referring to himself. Shino stiffened a little bit. Shino nodded and said, you make a good point. Then he bowed again and left with Naruto to walk through the forest of death again and soak up the mix of force energy that lived there. Meeting room in Hokage Tower, a few days later. That brat shouldn't have moved on. We threw several high-level genin at him, and he just walked away like it was nothing. Homura was angry that Naruto made it through the preliminaries, since they didn't know much about him other than how to use a sword. No matter what, Naruto moved on to the next stage, and there's nothing we can do about it, said the Sandaime, who could tell from the way the Shinobi Council was looking that they wanted to kill the boy. I still think he should be punished for killing the Uchiha, and now only Itachi has the Sharingan bloodline, said a civilian council member as the news of Sasuke's death spread through Konoha and people began to cry. A funeral service had already been planned for a few weeks before the Chunin exams. There were even rumors that the Hokage might be asked to name the stadium after the Uchiha who had died. What happened in the Forest of Death was completely legal, and Uchiha Sasuke did sign the form before going there, knowing that the two might meet, Aburame Shibi said. He had talked with his son about what happened during the prelims, and Shino had told him that it was an enlightening experience. No matter what, the boy needs to be punished in a way that is legal according to the rules of the Chunin exam, so that the daimyo can't punish us, Kaharu said. She saw Naruto as a threat and wanted to get rid of the blonde. Such a thing is not possible, and even suggesting it goes against the fire daimyo's orders. I don't need to remind everyone here of the price the people have already paid at our feudal lord's hands before the Chunin exams, said Hiyashi. The fire daimyo had punished the leaf for their actions, and several people had already been publicly executed after being whipped mercilessly in front of their children and being told why they were being punished. Two of Sum's cousins were brutally killed before they were put to death for hurting Naruto, and so were their dogs, just to make sure that even the dogs who lived in the clan knew that they could also be punished. Our only chance of getting rid of Naruto now is for him to die in the Chunin exam finals. Who is he going up against? Asked Danzo when he saw Homura looking at the list and frowning at it. Some genin from Kumo who killed one of the 3 sound shinobi who participated this year. If he beats him, the brat will face either Ni Yugito from Kumo or the Kage's only daughter Sabaku no Tamari. His teammate known only as Starkiller will be facing the last Kumo shinobi, and Momochi Haku will be fighting Nara Shikamaru, said Homura, causing everyone in the room to groan. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, my wife Yoshino is already taking care of it, said Shikaku, knowing that his wife would take care of his son's motivation and make them both proud. Their son kind of had to do it because it made Shikaku look like a bad man, and Shikaku's wife, Yoshino, would not let either of them forget about it. And my daughter is fighting Rock Lee, who has the best advantage right now because no one but his team knows what he's capable of right now, and considering his sensei. I don't think my daughter can win, said Hiyashi. He was proud that Hinata had beaten one of the Kage's children, but Rock Lee was different, and Neji had already told him that his teammate could handle the power behind Gentle Fist. It was hard to say how Hinata would do. At least prepare her for the upcoming fight, Hiyashi-san. Your daughter may not be what many in your clan consider a proper Hyuga, but she wants to get stronger, and I think she would give Maeda Gai's student a good workout, said Inoichi. He knew from what Ino told her at school that Hinata trained hard, and he saw that Hinata's skills in the prelims were pretty good too. How are we going to deal with that Kyuubi brat? Asked a fat civilian council member in charge of a third of the Leaf's merchant district. Nothing. Just like we all should have done after the Kyuubi was sealed and let things run their course by having his mother raise him or his godparent before you had her killed, Danzo, said the Sandame, who saw that Danzo didn't look the least bit sorry and just sneered at the old Kage. That woman wasn't from the Leaf. Kushina came from another country and tricked the Yondaime into having his bastard child, said Danzo, who thought that only people born in the Leaf should live in the Leaf and that anyone who wasn't from here was a second-class citizen. That doesn't matter. She was a valuable ally to the Leaf in the Third Shinobi War, and she should have been treated as such, said Shibi. They all knew Kushina and saw that she was a very capable shinobi when things got serious. She was a red-haired prostitute from some weak country who spread her legs and had a demon child. Said the Haruno councilman, who had always hated Kushina and her stupid husband, the Yondaime. Stop. Don't make things worse than they already are. The fire daimyo is about to destroy us, and you want to hasten our death by poking the dragon that could do it in the eye with a stick. Said the Sandame, who couldn't believe that these fools would be so arrogant as to do this and want to destroy the village that the Shoden built. Then what do you suggest we do? Let the boy go and be done with it? He must die. Said Homura. He had worked too hard to get to this position of power to lose it to this horrible boy. Yes. The Leaf has lost a lot of respect with the elemental countries, our clients have dropped dramatically, my last 2 students won't help us if Naruto wants to get his revenge, and there are threats of alliances falling apart to think about. If Konoha is to survive, we must play the hand we're dealt and learn to adapt to the situation we're in, said the Sandame, as he saw everyone looking worried about the future, and he couldn't blame them. The Sandame was also afraid of what would happen. 1 week after Suna. So Gaara lost, huh? Is that what you're telling me, Baki? Asked the Kage as he sat behind a see-through curtain. He didn't seem happy to hear that. Yes, Kage-sama. Namikaze Naruto used a lot of power against Gaara, and the only reason he didn't kill Gaara was because the Mist Genin's teammates stopped him, said Baki, who could see that the Kage was now angry and ready to destroy anything in his way. The Kage looked at Baki with narrowed eyes and asked, and the other 2? He was looking for another reason to kill the Chunin in front of him. Your oldest son Kankuro also lost to the Hyuga heiress, but your daughter Tamari won her match and will move on to the finals, said Baki. He thought the Kazekage, who was still angry, would lash out, but to his surprise, the man seemed to calm down and then started to laugh. So one of my children isn't a total failure. Good. Then the invasion will go as planned, with Gaara attacking from one side of the Leaf Village and Orochimaru-sama's forces attacking from the other. Did the snake summoning scrolls and ritual instructions arrive here like the Sannin said they would? Asked the Kazekage, and he saw Baki nod his head yes. The men are learning how to use them as we speak, Baki said with his head down. Good. Tell Gaara about his part in our plan and tell him that if we succeed in this invasion because of his help, I will officially make him my son, said the Kazekage. He knew the boy wanted to be accepted, and what better way to motivate the red-haired psycho than that? Yes, Kazekage-sama, said Baki as he left the room and went down a few more hallways to see the three brothers and sisters. Before he saw Baki shake his head no, Kankuro asked, is it him? No, it's not your father. I've worked for the real Kazekage long enough to know that no matter what he did, he would never call Gaara his son, said Baki, seeing the angry look on Gaara's face. That can only mean one thing, said Tamari when she saw Baki nod. She knew what it meant for them, if not for all of Suna. A fake Kazekage had taken the place of the real one. Gaara asked, how do we move forward? He was now tempted to go into the room with the fake and use his sand to hurt the man. Nothing. At least not right now. We make the fake Kazekage think we don't know, but on the day of the invasion, we tell everyone, and abandon the plan that was made. The reason for it is almost non-existent right now, since the last Namikaze is back in the spotlight. When this is over, the leaf will either be dead, or dying from the attack Orochimaru is going to launch with his own sound forces, said Baki. Gaara asked, what about Namikaze Naruto and the Mist Village? I think we should make an alliance with them, because he didn't want to be at odds with Naruto and have to face that kind of power again from the blonde. We'll make plans after the invasion is over and the smoke clears, Gaara. Until then, we'll play the blind servants of a fake Kazekage and wait for the right time to show who we really are, said Baki, who also wanted to be Naruto's ally, then turn against him in that strange power that made Gaara face one of his darkest demons. In a figurative sense, that is. At the moment, Mizukage Tower. Mei asked, how's the job? As she walked in. She thought she was seeing double when she saw one Zabuza doing paperwork and another one sitting back and reading a certain perverted orange book that women hate. Good. Naruto taught me how to use shadow clones and told me they can be used to do paperwork. Not only that, but doing it every day will boost my chakra reserves and make my life a little easier, Zabuza said as he watched the shadow clone glare at him every few seconds and then to the pile of paperwork on the desk. Shadow clones? That's a leaf-only jutsu. How did Naruto-kun learn that? Mei asked, ignoring the orange book in front of her and focusing on Zabuza for now. When Naruto met Hitaki Kakashi in Wave Country, he used that weird power of his to dive into the Leaf Junin's head and copy down all the jutsus there. One of them was the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and whatever the Shadow Clone knows before it's dispelled will be transferred back to the original, Zabuza said as he saw Mei nod in understanding. He then felt a cold chill run up his spine as Mei looked at him with angry. Okay, now that's out of the way. Why are you reading that book? You have a hot woman in front of you and yet you were reading that dumb orange book. Mei yelled, ready to show Zabuza that ignoring a hot girl for some perverted smut is a very bad idea. Oh crap, thought Zabuza before he looked at his shadow clone, who was now smiling behind his bandages and enjoying doing paperwork while the real Zabuza was being beaten to a bloody pulp. Am I getting in the way? Naruto asked as he stepped through the window and saw Mei bending Zabuza's arm in a strange way. No, and how did you get here? Mei asked Zabuza, who was still hurting and begging her to let him go. Shadow clones. The real Naruto is still in the leaf. I just wanted to let you know that my team is in the Chunin exam finals, which means Zabuza has to come to watch us all compete as planned, and the Raikage will also be there, said the shadow clone of Naruto, who saw Mei jumping up and down with joy at the news. She was also jumping up and down on the backbone of Zabuza. That's great, Naruto-kun. Zabuza should be out of the hospital just in time to go to the finals, Mei said as she let go of Zabuza's crumpled body and hugged the poor shadow clone tightly while smothering him with her breasts. I can't breath. Before it went, poof, and left Mei with nothing, the Naruto shadow clone thought, what a waste. Damn. I pressed too hard. Oh well. I make sure to be careful when the real Naruto-kun is in my arms, and I give him a well-deserved reward for a job well done. As for you, Zabuza, I think we should take you to the hospital, and make sure you're all better for the Chunin exam finals, said Mei as she grabbed Zabuza's good arm and started dragging him to the hospital. Konoha Hospital 2 days later. Tsuchi Kin was tied down on her hospital bed because Ibiki was going to question her as soon as she woke up. Then, Inoichi was going to dive into her head to make sure they got all the information they needed from it after that little number to her head during the prelims. 2 Anbu guards stood outside her room. When a person walked up to them, they tensed up, but when the person waved their hand and said a few hints, they relaxed. When the door opened, the figure walked in quietly, shut the door, and walked over to where Kin was still sleeping in the hospital bed. After reading her charts, the figure smiled at the information on them. He was glad to see that the interrogation hadn't started yet, because that meant the girl was still open to being shaped in his way. The figure put down the chart and walked over to Kin's face. He put his hand on the side of her head, which made the girl's body stiffen slightly. Her eyes slowly opened, but they looked like they were clouded over. Tsuchi Kin, are you listening? The figure said in a soothing voice, smiling as he watched the girl wake up with a simple command of his power and how she could be completely shaped by his will. Kin said, yes, master, as she felt the powerful presence connect with her mind. Part of her wanted to fight back, but she didn't have much strength to do so. Good. Kin-chan, you need to put on the clothes I give you and sneak out of the Leaf Village before we go to the Mist Village. You should tell Momochi Zabuza everything you know about Orochimaru's plans to invade the Leaf. After that, tell him that you are my loyal servant to the Namikaze clan and that you want to live in my clan home Mist, Naruto said. He saw Kin nod her head slightly and knew that he now had control over the girl. Forever. Kin said, yes, my master, as the pain in her head went away and she felt a new desire to serve the blonde-haired boy about her age in any way he wanted. Rise, Naruto said as he took his hand off her head. He then untied her from everything that was holding her down and saw Kin obey. He then gave the girl a scroll with clothes on it that Haku had given him. Thank you, my master, Kin said as she got out of bed and put on the clothes Naruto gave her. She didn't care that she took off what little she had in front of Naruto to put on what he gave her. Are you going to make her more than just your servant? Kyuubi said when it saw that Naruto was still looking at the girl and admiring her body. Maybe. Not now, but maybe later, Naruto thought as he waited for Kin to get dressed and covered her face with bandages. When Naruto realized there was nothing else he could do, he used the force to open the window and then left through one door while Kin left through the other. Reikage Tower right now. Reikage-sama, this scroll just came for you. It's from Yugito's team in Konoha, said Akumo Chunin as he handed the letter to the Reikage in the man's office. Don't just stand there. Give it to me already, said the Reikage as he took the scroll and read it. When he saw what it said, his eyes grew wide. Reikage-sama, what does it say? The Chunin said, because he knew that anything Yugito said was important, and the man's face showed that it was. Get me all the Junin and Anbu who can be called to this village right now. Also, get me Killer Bee, and tell my little brother that if he doesn't obey, I'll kick his behind so hard that he'll be able to talk normally, said the Reikage, who ran off to do his mission when he saw the Chunin nod his head. If this information was true, along with Naruto's plan for Yugito to invade the Leaf, it wouldn't be long before they had a Hyuga here in the Kumo, giving them a powerful bloodline to call their own. What's up, E? You wanted the only Killer Bee, right? Said Killer Bee, as he saw his brother give him a dirty look for his bad rhymes and a check mark next to his bad habit, which meant it wasn't liked. The Reikage told Killer Bee, I need you to be ready in a month to defend Kumo while our forces in Mist attack Konoha. Killer Bee looked surprised, which was understandable since the last time was almost a decade ago. Back when Kumo messed up the kidnapping of the Hyuga clan's only daughter at the time, and they almost went to war if they didn't get Hyuga Hiashi's body as compensation. The secondary plan didn't work out so well, but it did stop a war, which was good enough for the Lightning Daimyo, who had pushed for it with the threat of losing funding if the Raikage didn't. So we're going to invade the Leaf to steal their beef, and you need Killer Bee in case our troops have to run away? Said Killer Bee, who saw his big brother's tick mark go and was ready to beat him up. Yes. The Namikaze pretty much promised us at least one Hyuga to help us set up our breeding program and start a Hyuga clan here in Kumo, said the Raikage, who saw Killer Bee's eyes widen in shock and knew that a promise from a Namikaze was something you could count on. Killer Bee said, "Okay, bro, I'll just go," as he saw his brother getting more and more angry with the way he was talking and getting ready to throw a mountain at him. In a sense. Konoha streets, 3 days later. Naruto walked through the place he had lived for 6 years before he was taken away and shown the galaxy's vast ocean. As he walked, Naruto could smell that people were getting more and more afraid of him. He thought that this must be what it was like for Darth Vader to walk along the bridge of a Star Destroyer while the crew was afraid of dying at his hands. Still, there were some people who were more angry than afraid of him, and I could tell they still wanted to kill him, even if it was just to help the world by getting rid of him before they died. Fools like that would definitely act again, as they always do, and when they did, Naruto would make them regret it. Naruto said, "You can show yourself to me now. You're Jiraiya the Toad Sannin." He had felt the man's chakra signature and turned around to see the man come into view. People stood around them, waiting to see what would happen. Some of them hoped that the Sannin would kill Naruto to show how loyal he was to the Leaf. "Hey there. Can we talk somewhere else?" Jiraiya said as he felt those blue eyes piercing his soul, which made him feel a little uneasy at the time. "Sure. We have a lot to talk about, my godfather," Naruto said as he heard people gasp and the Sannin in front of him nod. "Come with me." Jiraiya jumped onto a nearby roof and said, "Tsunadeheim wants to see you, too." Naruto did the same, with the Sannin leading the way. When they stopped, Tsunade and her assistant Shizune were waiting for them in the middle of a clearing. Naruto walked toward Tsunade after he knew through the force that no one was trying to hurt him. He saw that his 2 godparents were happy to see him after all this time. "Hello, Naruto. How are you doing?" Tsunade said this when she saw him take off his red hood and show a face that no longer had baby fat on it. "Good. You might be scared by the things I've seen, but I've been good, and my life in Mist has been even better than it would be here. If you ever want to live in Mist, I know the Mizukage could give you a good deal on a house there and help you set up your own medic program," Naruto said. He knew that Tsunade wanted at least one member of the shinobi team to be a medic nin to keep the number of deaths low and the number of survivors high. Of course, the 2 councils on the Leaf had used their power to stop the old Sandaime, saying that it was too expensive, and that real shinobi can handle the battles they face. The program was then put on a shelf to gather dust. "That sounds good, but not now. All I want is to hug my godson and let him know that I would have loved him," Tsunade said as she walked over to Naruto and gave him a hug like a parent would give their child. Jiraiya thought, lucky brat, because he had killed the Tsuchikage to get a hug from Tsunade and didn't have to worry about getting his manhood crushed by a well-placed super strong kick there. "Thank you, my godmother," Naruto said as he felt the woman's love for him, her pain at knowing that they had all been betrayed by Konoha, and her wish that things had been different since the Kyuubi first attacked. "Okay. Now that everything is settled, Naruto has less than a month to prepare for the Chunin exam finals," and Jiraiya said, "I think it's only fair that we, as your loving godparents, help train you in what we know." Jiraiya hadn't seen Naruto in over a decade, and he was going to make up for it by spending more time with him. "It depends on what you want to teach me, Ero Sennin," Naruto said as he read the Toad Sannin's mind and saw that Jiraiya was called that by his father. "Hey." Jiraiya said, "Just because I look at women for research doesn't make me a bad person." He was surprised that Naruto called him that, but the Toad Sannin did miss being called that, so he was willing to let it go. "For now." "Yes, it does, you stupid pervert," said Tsunade as she got in his face and got ready to beat him down with her right hook. "Says you, flat chest." Jiraiya glared back with angry eyes that looked just as funny. "What did you just call me?" asked Tsunade, who had her hand cocked back and Jiraiya ready to turn his hair into needles. "Could you two just stop for a second?" Naruto asked his godparents when he saw them looking at him. He smiled at the funny angry faces they were now making at him. "Why?" asked both Sannin before they saw Naruto make a time is being wasted sign with his hands by pointing the right one to his wrist like it had a watch on it. "You're wasting time arguing when you could be helping me train instead," Naruto said when he saw the two of them look at each other and then smile sheepishly at their immature actions. "Sorry," said the two, and then all three of them laughed and started making a plan for training the young Namikaze. Jiraiya wanted Naruto to learn how to call spirits, seal them away, and at least one of Minato's two signature jutsus, which was the Rasengan. Tsunade wanted Naruto to learn medical jutsus and find out more about how to heal the human body. Naruto didn't have any trouble training with Jiraiya, but when it came to Tsunade's lessons, he had one request. He wanted the slug Sannin to teach his female teammate Haku, who was a skilled healer in her own right. Tsunade agreed because what her godson told her about Haku's knowledge of healing plants showed that the girl could be a good doctor. Naruto also asked Tsunade to check up on Kimimaro. He had used his power with Kyuubi's chakra to get rid of a lung disease from the albino's body, and he thought it would be best for the Kagaya if Tsunade did the same for Kimimaro. So, while Jiraiya taught Naruto, the blonde's two teammates went with Tsunade, and this was the start of a new way to train for the Chunin exams. Day of exams at Chunin Exam Stadium. Today was a very important day for the Leaf. It was the day of the Chunin exam finals, and people from all over the elemental countries came to watch. But if the customers were being honest with themselves, they were only here to see Kumo, Mist, and Suna's shinobi compete to see if they were as good as the rumors said. As for the Leaf shinobi who were here today, they felt a little flattened, if you will, because they weren't the majority of the young Chunin potentials here. This was clear to the Leaf people who were watching what was going on here today. Even more so now that Uchiha Sasuke and the rest of Team 7 are dead and no one in the Leaf sees Hitaki Kakashi very often. Those who did see the son of the White Fang only saw a broken shell of a man, and the guilt of losing his students, mostly Sasuke, during the Chunin exams weighed heavily on his mind. Even more so when rumors spread that the Junin had met Team 7's killer, Namikaze, who is now living in the mist, and had a simple conversation with him. A week ago, in a flashback. "You shouldn't be here, Naruto," said Kakashi as he stood at the memorial stone and looked at the names of his most important friends and family, as well as the names of his Genin team, which had just been added. "That's funny. When I was younger, many people told me this, but they used colorful words like demon, monster, and Kyuubi brat to describe me. Since my father's name is on this stone, I think I have a right to be here, and I miss him just like everyone else," Naruto said as he saw the Junin turn his head slightly and look at him with his one normal eye. "It's not right for you to call him your dad. You betrayed him," Kakashi said as he looked at Naruto laughing at him. This made the Junin even more angry. "I sold my father out? That's a weak reason. How could I betray my own father?" Naruto asked in a sarcastic tone as Kakashi clenched his fists. "You went out of the town. You made it hurt. You hold the..." Kakashi started to say, but he didn't finish because he could feel Naruto's smile getting bigger. "Who is Kyuubi? Is that the word you want to use at the end? Just because I have a demon inside of me, which is something my father gave me, doesn't mean I betrayed him. In fact, he betrayed me by giving me the demon. As for leaving the village, why should I stay in a place that hates me more than it does Iwa? Why would you stay in a place where a child is beaten, stabbed, and burned for holding something he didn't choose? Which brings me to the last thing I did to hurt the village. My answer is that for the first 6 years of my life, I was just giving the Leaf what they owed me and showing them that I wasn't going to take their bad behavior lying down. Also, if anyone betrayed my father, it was you and the rest of the village, since honoring his dying wish seems beyond your abilities," Naruto said as he saw Kakashi turn to face him with a masked face full of anger and knew the man wanted to rush at him with a raikiri to the heart. "Your dad was an amazing person. I'll never understand how you can be his son and talk like that, and maybe I don't want to, Kakashi said as he watched Naruto smile wider and see sharp teeth like a fox's stick out. I found a better one. I don't understand how you can be my father's student and talk like that to his only son. I know for sure that my father would be ashamed of you. Maybe that's why he liked being around your Uchiha friend, who did a good thing by giving his life for you, even if it wasn't a good investment, and will get this in the near future. What did he go by? Alto? Who is Balto? Who is Obito? Oh, Obito. All done. That is the name of the real student of my father. The one who should have lived after the Third Shinobi War and was thought to be closer to my father than you could ever be, Naruto said as he saw Kakashi's real eye widen, then narrow in anger as he got ready to charge at him with a Reikiri. Damn you, said Kakashi as he made the Reikiri and was about to charge when a pair of hands grabbed him from the ground and pulled him deep into the earth until only his head was left. Dark clones. You can't help but love them. Oh, one more thing, Kakashi. The Raikage asked me to tell you that the Reikiri is a beautiful lightning jutsu, and he's glad that you've given him your fair share of lightning jutsus, Naruto said as he walked away, leaving an angry Kakashi yelling at the blonde and calling her names, but the Chunin couldn't make Kakashi mad no matter how hard he tried. Nothing the Chunin yelled could make the last Namikaze angry. Flashback is over. Naruto whispered to his Kumo allies, "You all know the plan, right?" They nodded their heads, and Temari looked a little nervous. Temari had every reason to be worried after she found out a few hours ago that Mist and Kumo were planning an invasion that would hurt or destroy the Leaf while the Konoha shinobi fought the forces of sound. When Naruto told Temari about the plan, she was worried because it meant that she could be seen as a risk and taken out of the equation altogether if the Namikaze wanted it. Naruto told Temari that this wasn't going to happen to her, and that when the Leaf was invaded, the allied forces weren't supposed to attack the Kage's oldest sister unless she attacked them first. Temari asked Naruto why he was doing this, and he just smiled and said that Temari's fate was somewhere other than Konoha. To make it look like Suna wasn't helping either allied force, Temari would have to fight Ni Yugito to the best of her ability without caring about the outcome. It's time for the first test. Will Osmosis Omoi and Namikaze Naruto get ready for battle while the rest of the competitors head to the fighter's box? Asked Genma, noticing that many people in the crowd were frowning at Naruto and only the clients were interested in the blonde. Are you ready, Namikaze Naruto? Omoi asked as he drew his two swords and waited for Naruto to take off his red and black robes. Then he called to his hand a long cylinder-like object, which he brought in front of himself horizontally and opened to show two red blades coming out of each end. You'll have to forgive me if I cut off one of your limbs, because these blades will do just that and cripple your body beyond repair, Naruto said. He could feel the shock of the people in the stands and the Sandaime, the Raikage, and Orochimaru, who was pretending to be the Kage, who were all watching from the cage booth. Genma jumped back and shouted, "Ready? Fight." As he watched Omoi charge forward and Naruto move gracefully with his weapon before slicing the metal swords into pieces. This was followed by an acrobatic move that ended with Naruto leaning down with his weapon ready. "My swords," Omoi said in shock as he saw Naruto grin at him and make a "come at me" sign with his hand. "I told you that this weapon in my hands will cut through your flesh like it did the metal in your swords. Since you are an ally of the Mist, I would rather not kill you, so I will give you this one chance to surrender. Before I send you back to Kumo in pieces," Naruto said as he saw Omoi shake his head no and make a series of hand signs. "Lightning style. Electromagnetic murder," said Omoi as he sent the lightning jutsu at Naruto, who had raised his free hand. He did this by copying what he saw in one of the few rare Jedi holocrons the Emperor had on Bis before using the Force to absorb the lightning into his outstretched limb. Even though it wasn't simple. Damn. I can't keep doing that. At least, not without more practice in the future. Even though Omoi was surprised by what I just did with his lightning jutsu, I don't think he will do it again and will be more careful. After all, we have people to entertain, Naruto thought with a smile. Omoi asked, "How did you do that?" He didn't know that the blonde could absorb lightning in that way and didn't want to try it again. "Sorry, It's a trade secret, Naruto said. But it would be rude not to return the favor with a lightning attack of my own, he said as he fired Sith lightning at Omoi, who was hit by the blast and sent flying before landing unconscious on the ground. Genma was shocked by what he saw and a little scared by the fact that the boy with the spiky blonde hair had absorbed lightning before shooting it out of his hand. Winner. Namikaze Naruto, he said. Naruto put his robe back on and used the force to levitate Omoi to the medical station, where Tsunade started to heal the Kumo shinobi and make sure he was back to being 100%. Does it bother you to know what we're going to do, Tsunade-san? Naruto asked when he heard Temari and Yugito's names called. I must say, I do have some internal conflict, but when I think about how the people have betrayed you, Minato, Kushina, the whole Senju clan, and even my grandfather, the Shoden Hokage, I just don't care about the leaf anymore, Tsunade said. She and Jiraiya had been told about the invasion and told not to help the leaf at all. Tsunade and Jiraiya wanted to try to stop Naruto at first because this village was their home. However, when the blonde used the force to show them how he had grown up in the village, they changed their minds right away. Of course, the two Sannin asked Naruto to protect the innocent people in the leaf who hadn't done anything wrong to him, and Naruto agreed because he wasn't going to be cruel like so many people said he was. Naruto was lost in thought when he heard that Ni Yugito had won. When he turned around, he saw that the blonde from Kumo was covered in the Nibi's chakra and was about to kill the Kage's oldest son, but she stopped just in time. When Naruto saw that Temari also needed medical help, he used the force to float her over to the medical station. There, he put her on a temporary bed and helped Yugito, who also needed a small medical fix, join them. Also, she needed some new clothes because the ones she was wearing were pretty torn up. Will Starkiller and Cashew Karui please come to the arena floor for their match? Asked Genma as he saw both competitors jump out of the box and onto the arena floor at the same time. Kimimaro, there's no need to hold back in this fight. It's time to show everyone what you can do, Naruto said through the force. Kimimaro nodded his head once to show that he understood. Kimimaro thought, yes, Naruto-sama, as he pulled out his bone sword with an ivory handle. He then shocked everyone who didn't know he was a Kagaya by making sharp bone pieces come out of his left arm. Your arm. Only one clan can do what you just did, but they attacked the mist and died soon after, Karui said as she readied her swords for battle and hoped that the month she spent training had paid off. I am the last of my clan. My real name isn't Starkiller of the Mist. It's Kagaya Kimimaro of the Mist, said Kimimaro, sensing killer intent from the stand where Orochimaru was glaring at him for betraying them. He smiled with a strange sense of satisfaction. This is a very rare bloodline limit. I need him for my root program and to start my own line of Kagaya warriors, Danzo thought as he stood in the shadows and watched the whole thing. Genma said, ready? Fight. Because he could tell this was going to get pretty bad. He saw the two charge each other and then get into a close-quarters fight that looked like it would be to the death. The battle, for lack of a better word, was beautiful. The two shinobi fought in what most people would have thought was a strange exotic dance, matching each other's moves and focusing on the enemy in front of them. Kimimaro hadn't been fought against in this way in a long time, and for some reason, he felt his heart beat a little faster than he usually did when fighting. Karui, on the other hand, was in her own world, and she could feel her heart beating at a rate that was too fast to be caused by adrenaline alone. When the two were tied for the last time in this fight, they broke apart because neither of them would give in terms of strength. They looked at each other with strong, unflinching eyes that told the other they had been through pain before. Each shinobi had a look in their eyes that told the other they were ready for anything their opponent could throw at them. They all moved at the same time, trying to win this match. A flash of metal, the sound of steel hitting bone, and then silence as each shinobi turned their back on the other. Everyone held their breath as they waited to see which of the two fighters would fall and who would be declared the winner. Kimimaro's torso, which had been cut diagonally by Karui's sword, bled out quickly, but he didn't fall to his knees in spite of the pain. Instead, he forced himself to stand tall. Karui herself had a deep cut on her stomach from a horizontal cut, and she was also trying not to fall over from the pain. As they slowly turned, They saw each other's wounds and gave a salute with their blades, similar to what Naruto did before facing Tenten in the prelims. Still, it was clear that these two people had a lot of respect for each other, and they had to use their swords to help each other before their strength gave out completely. Genma said, "The match is a tie. Neither competitor can fight." He said this because he could see that neither of them could keep fighting, even though they tried and made their injuries worse. "That's enough, both of you. Don't let your pride kill your spirit," Naruto said as he stood in front of the two shinobi. Each of them looked at him for a second before nodding in agreement with his reasoning. After that was taken care of, Naruto took them to the medical station, where Tsunade started to heal Kimimaro and Shizune took care of Karui's wounds. Genma said, "The next match will be between Nara Shikamaru and Momochi Haku," as he watched Shikamaru hesitate to go down there and get kicked in the buttocks by Haku. "That's great. I knew things would get to this point. Well, I might as well just give up and let my mom beat me," Shikamaru thought as he was about to raise his hand and give up. Suddenly, he felt a pull from somewhere he couldn't see, and it threw him off the balcony and onto the ground below. Not the most elegant way to get someone to join in, but it worked, and that's all that matters, Naruto thought with a smirk on his face. He knew Shikamaru would try to give up when facing a girl, and since Haku was Nara's opponent, the boy should have been waving a white flag that said, "I give up," on it. Nara didn't have one, and now he had to pay for it. Okay. It's a done deal. As Shikamaru got up from the ground, he thought, "Kami is definitely a woman, and she hates me." He cracked his neck before he saw Haku standing there, waiting for him to move closer so the ref could start the fight. "Go Haku. I've got 500 Ryu on you to kick the Nara's lazy $1. Zabuza yelled as he saw the three other cages staring at him in shock. He glared at them and basically dared them to question his parenting skills by betting on his adopted daughter to win. If he bet against her, that would be a bad way to be a parent. "Oh, sure." Shikamaru thought, "Like I didn't need that to bring me down," as he saw the Senbon needles appear in Haku's hands. He clenched his behind in his mind because he had a strong feeling that it was about to become a pin cushion. Genma said, "Ready? Let's fight." He knew who would win this fight, and he almost felt bad for the Nara. Haku acted quickly and threw a barrage of Senbon needles at Shikamaru. The lazy Nara Air dodged the attacks, and soon it was like a strange mating dance with Nara Air taking strange positions to avoid the attacks. From the stands, it was pretty funny to watch Haku make fun of the Nara clan and Konoha in general, which made the people in the Leaf very angry. "It's time to stop this silly dance," Haku said as she called up 1,000 ice needles from the moisture in the air. With a simple stomp of her sandaled foot, the needles fell with deadly accuracy on the Nara. Shikamaru was covered in needles from head to toe when it was over. He fell face first to the ground after saying, "Ow," in a boring voice and in a way that was almost funny. Genma shouted, "Winner by knockout. Momochi Haku." As he saw many Leaf fans booing Haku for beating the Nara and Shikamaru for losing in such a weak way. Of course, he would have lost anyway, since he hadn't trained for a whole month except for playing mind games and his mother hitting him every day with a frying pan to get him to go outside and train. Maybe that's why Haku's attack felt so good compared to what his mother had done to him. Haku walked over to Naruto, who was still at the medical station. She took off her mask so the blonde could see the proud look on her face. Without saying a word, she grabbed the slightly younger boy and gave him a passionate tongue kiss. Haku didn't care that Tsunade, Shizune, and everyone else in the station saw her kiss Naruto, because an invasion was coming soon, and one of them might die. Even though Naruto said otherwise, the fact that he once said that the future is always changing was not something to ignore, and the blonde was going to let him know how she felt about their relationship. She didn't try for nothing. Haku had tried so hard to tell Naruto how she felt about him after he moved to Mist and before the Chunin exam finals. She told him how she felt, and basically screamed it at him. Haku knew that Naruto knew how she felt, but she also knew that he wanted her to say what she was thinking and feel free to do so. We all know that actions are more important than words. I guess that wasn't just a good luck kiss, Naruto said when the two finally separated their mouths. Haku was breathing heavily while Naruto used the force to control his breathing. When this is over, we have a lot to talk about, and I don't want any interruptions, Haku told him, giving him a "don't fight me" look. He smiled at her and nodded to show that he understood. I wouldn't have it any other way, Naruto said as he and Haku heard Yugito hissing behind them and saw him looking wild. Yugito said, I wanted Naruto-kun. He's mine. She wasn't going to let this girl steal her mate, so she fought for the prize, which was her alpha. Haku drew Senbon needles to her hands and said, no, he's mine. Nibby's fire surrounded Yugito once more. That's enough from both of you. Since I'm the last of the Namikaze clan, I'm allowed to have more than one wife, but I'd like to get to know you both better first. Agreed? Naruto asked, because he didn't want these two fighting so carelessly. The two reluctantly nodded their heads. Still, they glared at each other with, he's mine, in their heads and looked like they were going to knock the other off the path to the last Namikaze. Genma said, now for the last semifinal match, Hyuga Hinata vs. Rock Lee. Lee had just jumped down, and Genma saw Hinata quickly follow Lee to the arena floor. Even though we are competing against each other, Lady Hyuga, I wish you the best of luck and hope you prove to be a worthy opponent like your cousin on my team, Lee said as he took his taijutsu stance and Hinata took her gentle fist stance and got ready for battle. Neji laughed as he watched his cousin try to look tough, but he knew that she couldn't beat Lee because Lee couldn't beat him, so she was doomed to lose to the boy in spandex. Neji would use this as an excuse to have the Hyuga elders brand the girl with the cage bird seal and make her feel his pain so she could understand what it was like to be treated like a slave in their clan, even if it wasn't technically true. Neji was watching with Tenten and Guy as the fight was about to start. He was thinking, soon, Hinata-sama, you'll have my rank and feel what it's like to be a second-class member of our so-called family. Don't worry, Hinata-chan. I believe in you and know you'll do your best, Naruto said to Hinata through the force. Hinata was surprised to hear a blonde's voice in her head and wondered if she was seeing things. Naruto-kun? Hinata thought this as she felt his presence close to hers and got the courage to fight Lee hard. We'll talk later, Hinata-chan. Now is the time to show me how strong you are, Naruto told her as he looked at her from the medical station and noticed that Hinata's gentle fist stance had become much stronger and more determined. Naruto-kun, did you use your power to help the Hyuga girl? Haku asked when she saw Naruto look intensely at Hinata for a moment and then noticed that Hinata's posture had changed. Not in the way you're thinking. There's an old force technique called battle meditation, but it's hard to do, even for a master of the force, which I'm not yet. I just wanted to give Hinata-chan some extra confidence by letting her hear my voice, said Naruto. He had tried battle meditation back in Mist, but never got it down because it took a lot out of him, and he knew it would be unfair to do it for Hina. The girl had to show that she could fight on her own without that kind of help. Ready? Fight, said Genma as he saw Lee dash forward with incredible speed and Hinata move gracefully to avoid the attack. Hinata's moves were more graceful than Shikamaru's when he fought Haku in his match. She also used her gentle fist in a way that went against the traditional Hyuga way of fighting in a straight line. It was a secret she learned when she trained alone, away from the prying eyes of people like the rest of her clan, who all looked down on this style and said it was a weird twist on the traditional style. Hinata used her gentle fist taijutsu with the Byakugan to attack. She hit Lee hard in the ribs, but unlike most gentle fists, she didn't send chakra through her palm, so the spandex boy wasn't knocked out. Lee jumped back and held his ribs for a second before he realized that Hinata had not hit him with the brutality of the gentle fist taijutsu, and he remembered what Neji had told him about his cousin. When Lee's team wished him luck before the Chunin exams, Tenten told him to fight Naruto and kick the blonde Baka's ass so hard that missed his ass bleeds for a month before blushing at her choice of words. Neji told Lee that Hinata wasn't a real Hyuga because he didn't have the discipline to be one. He also said that Hinata wouldn't use the gentle fist correctly to beat him, so fate would declare him the winner. Lee knew that wasn't true deep down, because Hinata's graceful responses to his taijutsu in a strike that could have won the match for her in a single moment showed that. Lee ignored that fact and kept going. He fought the young Hyuga heiress and found that she wasn't as easy to beat as Neji had said. Part of him wanted to use some of his more secret taijutsu weapons, but Guy told him to wait until he faced Naruto. If, Kami willing, he beat Hinata in his match, to see if the blonde could handle such an attack. Hinata, on the other hand, seemed determined to stop Lee from moving on to the next round. She pushed the green spandex boy back again with her gentle fist, which hit him in the shoulder again without chakra in the open palm. Lee frowned a little because this was the second time that Hinata could have hurt or killed him with a full-force gentle fist palm thrust. "Proctor, I surrender," Lee said calmly, even though he could see the shock in the eyes of the Proctor, Hinata, and everyone else when he said it. Genma asked, "Care to explain why?" He thought Lee had a small chance of winning, even against a Hyuga, and he didn't understand why the boy gave up. "My opponent has already hit me twice with blows that could have killed me or led to my death soon, but I haven't landed a single trick blow that would match hers," Lee said. He wasn't about to take off his weights or use any of the other tricks Guy had taught him against a girl younger than him. Genma said, "Very well. The winner of the match is Hyuga Hinata." He could see that people had mixed feelings about this, but he was proud of the boy for knowing when he had lost. Haku said, Lee was holding back, and she saw Naruto nod, but that didn't stop him from staring at the blushing Hyuga who was looking back at her boy. Yes, but so did Hinata. Even if Lee's advantage was greater than Hinata's, his honor would not let him use such things on his opponent, and Hinata was right about those 2 hits she landed on his body. Hinata could have won the match right away, but she would have crippled Lee and sent him to the hospital broken in ways that went beyond his physical appearance. It's a shame that the Chunin exams are about to be cancelled. They could have been promoted easily after all this, Yugito said as she looked at the Hyuga girl with interest. She then saw Naruto shake his head at her to show that she was not the Hyuga he had promised the Raikage. "The one your team is going to take is in the stands with his team. He's a branch member, but he's still a prodigy, and I can disable the seal on his forehead so you don't have to worry about Kumo being screwed over because of it," said Naruto, knowing that the Raikage had wanted a female Hyuga, but the Namikaze had told the man that Hyuga Neji, and with his seal disabled will be able. "His teammates are going to be mad at us," Karui said as she got up and got ready to fight, even though she was still sore. "Neji doesn't care much about them. It's sad. His heart is too bitter to care about others outside of his own mindless needs, which will make his move to Kumo easier and faster when this is over, since it will stick it to the main family he hates so much. Tell the Raikage that it's time for the invasion, Yugito-chan. You too, Haku-chan. Tell Zabuza to carry out Order 66, said Naruto. Yugito and Haku both said, "It will be done, Naruto-kun," before giving each other dirty looks and going to their respective cages. "Are you ready to do what needs to be done, godmother?" Naruto asked as he saw the woman close her eyes and let out a heavy sigh. "I am. I've seen the village my grandfather built become corrupt and rotten from the inside. I know what I need to do for this," Tsunade said. When Shizune nodded, she knew that this place was not the Leaf Village they used to love. "Then I'll leave that up to you. Come, Kimimaro, the real battle has only just begun," said Naruto as an explosion was heard in the cage booth and other parts of the village. "What about me, my brothers, and my sensei?" Tamari asked, knowing that all Suna forces already knew the truth and would pull back without sound noticing. "As I told you before, Tamari-chan, neither Mist nor Kumo will attack you or your family unless you attack them first." Luckily, Jiraiya was able to look at Gaara's seal and fix it so he can sleep at night without worrying. "He will be ready to become Case of Suna soon, as I have predicted, and I look forward to the day you visit to talk about an alliance with Mist," Naruto said, giving Tamari a win. It was the Leaf's day to be judged. The Leaf was being attacked by Kumo and Mist forces. Naruto's plan was coming to fruition as Kumo and Mist forces took over the Leaf. Even though the Sound forces led by Orochimaru had invaded, it didn't matter because they were caught in the middle of the fighting and killed quickly and without mercy. Without Suna's help, the Sound forces would have had almost no chance of winning and would have been like mindless animals being killed. Naruto knew that all the civilians would be moved to secret places inside the Hokage monument, where they would be safe and could wait out the invasion. Naruto had used the Hokage monument himself, as he had done more than once when villagers looking for his blood chased him away. When he was there, he found a lot of places to hide, which helped him remember every good spot and give him a lot of room to run if he was ever found. As for the streets themselves, the Leaf forces were fighting with allied forces at the moment and were holding their own for now, even though the ground was slowly giving way. While this was going on, the Namikaze headed towards Danzo, who was one of the many things that hurt him. Danzo was quickly going home, guarded by his private security force, which was once Root. The Namikaze would probably wait until the smoke cleared to take what he thought would be his in the end when this was over. Naruto didn't want the man to live to see the sun go down. When the old, crippled Warhawk got close to his house, which was more like a mansion, the blonde demon vessel used the force and the Rasengan that Jiraiya taught him during the 1 month to throw the ball out of his hands and at the Root shinobi who was guarding him. The attack hit the Root shinobi right in the head, sending pieces of brain all over the place. The second bodyguard is now drawing his sword. "You don't know how long I've been waiting for this moment since I found out the truth about what you did to kill my mother," Naruto said as he came out from behind them and saw Danzo staring at him with his one eye. "Anyone who wasn't born in the Leaf and is an abomination like you is a threat to the Leaf. If that old fool had listened to me, the threat you posed would have been gone, and the village would have been stronger because I could have used you as a weapon," said Danzo when he saw the blonde smile at him, which made the old Warhawk angry. "Perhaps you should have let my mother live to raise me, instead of just killing her, and then convincing the old man to let the villagers attempt to beat me into submission. You made your fears come to life by setting in motion everything that would make it a reality in the first place. Killing my mother, denying my father's last wish, and then trying to set things up that would force me into submission just so I would one day to be your prized pet to fetch your slippers when your feet are cold under the Hokage's desk after you use me to overthrow the old man? When I was growing up in this place, I was a lot smarter than I let people think I was so I could make them think I was not a threat, and only use my brains when they served the means of avoiding people that tried to hurt me. Before I was taken away from here, I knew that the only way to learn the truth was to take what I could, and give nothing back that wasn't worth giving. The instant I knew the truth of what happened to my family, which I promise you I would have regardless of what you would try, I had every intention of tearing this place to pieces, and nothing short of Kami coming down from the heavens themselves was going to stop me from taking what was mine. I made that little promise to myself years ago before my former masters, as they trained me to my fullest potential within the rules they themselves set, and became their prized weapon. You cannot believe the wonders I have seen, the places I have been to that make all your ambitions seem so meaningless, and make you realize just how much an insignificant speck of life you are in the universe," said Naruto, as he saw Danzo look at him with anger and hatred at his words, knowing they hurt his very pride down to the core. "Insignificant speck? Me? How dare you? I am the greatest shinobi of all time. You are the insignificant speck when compared to me, and I will not stand by while you insult the future god of this world who will change it in a way that only I can," said Danzo as he took off the bandages on his face and arms to reveal the Sharingan eyes that had been surgically attached to them. "You think those eyes will help you? I'm not using the fox's power so much that I have to depend on it like a drug, you fool. You think I don't know the Sharingan's power when it comes to the Kyuubi? The fox practically told me how those eyes work when it comes to his power, and I don't need it to get my revenge," Naruto said as he saw Danzo frowning and his Root army now behind him with weapons ready. "Even so, I have the power of my Root shinobi here to back me up, and they will try to kill you long after you're dead," said Danzo, smirking at the fact that he had the boy now and was going to kill him before dissecting him for more power. "Power? Having more of your Root shinobi here is something you think gives you power? You're wrong. I'll show you what real power is, and it's not something you can take by surgically attaching it to your body," Naruto said as he smirked evilly at Danzo and called on the power of the dark side in his body to use a skill called Deadly Sight. At that moment, Danzo knew something was wrong because his face was getting hotter and hotter until it felt like it was on fire, and he wasn't the only one. Around him, his Root shinobi started to twitch and cry out in pain before their faces began to burn. Danzo tried to fight back with his Sharingan eyes, but they didn't work because his face was broken and death had taken him to be judged by the Shinigami. Naruto stopped the force technique that was draining his force reserves. He closed his eyes for a moment to let them rest, and when he opened them again, he saw that the old war hawk and the rest of his forces that were in his line of sight had all died. Knowing that he still had to kill 2 more people who had wronged him, the Namikaze left to find the other 2 people so he could give their heads to the old Hokage. Before he cut that man's head off, too. At the time of the Chunin exam stadium, Kimimaro quickly cut through a leaf shinobi without a name with his blade, then fired several missiles, made a bone from his left arm, hitting several Chunin from behind. Not far away, Karui was killing leaf shinobi who got in her way. They were both on a mission to help Kumo get a Hyuga so he could start a clan in the hidden village and learn the secrets of the Byakugan. Do you see the target? Kimimaro asked the female Kumo shinobi, who was now standing next to him. The 2 of them moved to kill an enemy who was shooting at the back of the other. Yes, he's with his 2 teammates and Junin sensei, Karui said as he and his partner moved in perfect sync to kill 3 more shinobi each. We have 1 chance to catch the target. I have the anti-seal Naruto-sama gave Jiraiya of the Sannin to make sure the target's seal doesn't work when it's used. Once that's done, I'll cover your escape and give you and your genin team time to get back to Kumo, said Kimimaro. Those were his orders, and the albino had every intention of following them to the letter. Karui blushed a little at what he said, because he said it with such passion, and she could tell from the look in his eyes that he would give his life to help her complete her mission. I'm ready. We must move as one, Kaori said when she saw him nod, and the 2 of them moved towards Hyuga Neji with incredible speed. Kimimaro kicked Rock Lee away. Kaori took Tenten's sword away before knocking the bun-haired girl into her sensei, and then the last Kagaya in the elemental countries got close to Neji and hit the anti-seal tag after removing the headband that was covering it. At that moment, Neji stopped moving because it sounded like someone had hit him, and not just anywhere, but right there on his head. Then Karui came up behind him and hit the Hyuga branch prodigy in the back of the neck, which knocked him out. Now that their prize was safely on Kimimaro's shoulders, Karui whistled to tell Omoi to follow her and help get their prize out of the village for the Kagaya to give it to her so she could take it to Kumo. Tenten, Lee, and Guy called out to Neji, but it didn't help because they couldn't follow Kimimaro because the Kagaya had made a wall of bone spikes that stuck out of the ground behind her to stop anyone from following. Moments later, the 3 were hit with gas that knocked them out. Their vision went dark, and Mist Shinobi picked them up to take them out of the village. The same thing was happening to the other Roki Genin teams in another part of the stadium, and it was also happening to the homes of the different clans all over the village. At the moment, the roof of the stadium. Well, this is a surprise. 2 Kages are here with me to fight an old, retired Kage, and a few of their shinobi are helping. You can't even imagine how happy this makes me right now, Sarutobi-sensei, said Orochimaru as his sound 4 bodyguards made the barrier he made to keep them from being interrupted. This wasn't how things were supposed to go, but the Sannin wasn't going to ignore the sheer luck. Don't help Orochimaru fight me, Mizukage-sama and Reikage-sama. My traitorous student will kill you when you turn your back, said the Sandaime, who saw the 3 Kages facing him while Yugito and Haku were on the side of their fellow Kages. We're not, Zabuza said when he saw the Reikage turn around to face Orochimaru. The Sannin's eyes widened when he saw the much stronger man in front of him with his huge arms sticking out of his chest and lightning coming out of it. This attack looks like Kakashi's Rikiri. How, though? The Sandaime thought this as he watched his traitorous student scream in pain and explode from the sheer power of the electrical output of the jutsu, which was now overloading the man's body. Well, I guess the Gaki was right about Hitaki Kakashi's jutsu when he said it was perfect for someone with my lightning affinity and my in-your-face fighting style, said the now smiling Reikage as he watched sound 4 bodyguards remove the barrier and start to run away while they still could. Unfortunately, Yugito and Haku stopped them from getting away quickly. Yugito killed 3 of the 4, and Haku killed the other one by hitting the red-haired girl in the neck with senbon needles. The other 2 were turned into ash. You're not going anywhere, Haku told the girl as she picked her up. She then left with Yugito to drop off the redhead at the place where the people who were rescued from the invasion were meeting. It's too bad the Gaki isn't here at the moment. When Zabuza saw that Sandaime was now in his battle armor, he called Enma and had the Monkey King change into his adamantine staff form. He said, I'm sure he'd love to run that glowing red blade right through your old behind. Who tells me I can't? Naruto said as he stood in front of the 3 cages and threw the heads of 2 shinobi council members onto the roof. These shinobi council members used to be Hiruzen's teammates. Naruto, stop doing this. You're making too much of this, said the Sandaime when he saw Naruto tilt his head in thought as he spoke and then shake his head in disagreement. No way. If I wanted to take this personally, I would have killed everyone in the leaf instead of setting things in motion to make sure that everyone can benefit from the leaf's potential. For example, Kumo will have the Byakugan now that they have one Hyuga male who is considered a prodigy. They will also bring the Raikage here many strong Hyuga offspring for him to raise in a clan without the cage bird seal on their heads, Naruto said as he saw the Raikage give him a thumbs up and Zabuza smirk behind his bandages. Are you aware of what you did? Said the Sandaime when he saw that Naruto didn't care and was quite proud of it. Yes. Naruto took out both of his lightsabers and got ready to kill the old Hokage. I've killed Danzo, one of your teammates, made the Hyuga clan's fears come true, and I'm destroying the Leaf Village piece by piece right before I kill you to make sure justice is done in the name of my family, he said. Naruto, I'm sorry you lost so much, but everything that happened to you would have been worth it if you had stayed and shown you weren't below their honor standards, said the Sandaime. He saw Naruto scowl at him and knew he was bringing up a sensitive subject with the blonde. If I had stayed, this village would have used me as a punching bag, and it's not like you did a good job of keeping them away from me, you old liar. What gave you the right to let the person who killed my mother go free? What gave you the right to let this village hurt me the way it did and then treat the Uchiha jerk like he's Kami's favorite son even though you knew what his clan was up to when they tried to take over Konoha? Naruto said as he saw Sandaime scowl at him, and the blonde knew this was not the same old man he once looked up to as a child before the truth was shown to him. Naruto, I did what I had to do. Danzo was better off alive than dead because the bad things that would have happened if people found out he was dead were not worth him being dead. Your mother's death was a necessary evil to keep you in Konoha, and if it meant beating you to within an inch of your life to keep the Namikaze bloodline in Konoha, I would have gladly thrown the first punch at your face myself, said the Sandaime. He wasn't going to act like Naruto's sweet old grandfather anymore, and he wanted to show the blonde how to act when going up against a Hokage. I see. So that's what happens. Old man, it's a shame we had to end things this way. Jiraiya and Tsunade do, too, because they helped me train over the past month. You must be so proud to know that the only thing people will remember about you is that you failed at everything you tried when you came out of retirement. Don't worry, though, because you won't be going to hell alone, and I plan to have your grandson pay you a visit soon, Naruto told Hiruzen, who looked at him in shock and then snarled angrily at his words. Don't be crazy. My grandson has nothing to do with all the bad things I've done to you, the Sandaime said as he saw Naruto raise an eyebrow and ask, are you kidding? Take a look at him. I was innocent of all the bad things Kyuubi had done, right? Why should I let you use me as a punching bag when I was much younger than your grandson? We've come full circle with this old man, and it's time you got the suffering you deserve for betraying my family, Naruto said as he watched the Sandaime rush him and try to cut off his head with the staff. Not unless I kill you first, said the Sandaime as he began his duel with Naruto. The two started fighting, but Naruto's lightsabers were too strong for the adamantine staff. You are such a sad old man. The second Hokage must have been desperate to make you his successor before he died, Naruto said as he kicked the old man away after dodging a blow from the staff and saw the Sandaime now look at him with pure hatred. Naruto, you think you know everything, right? You have no idea about anything, Sandaime said as he tried to hit Naruto again, but the blonde was done messing around with the old man and wanted to end this stupid dance right now. I know enough, Naruto said coldly, and his eyes turned yellow like a Sith's before he moved faster than anyone could see and appeared behind the Sandaime with the man's legs cut off at the knees, causing the old cage to fall hard with the loss of Enma in his hands. Sarutobi, said Enma as he turned back into his monkey form, but Zabuza kicked him so the Monkey King couldn't stop the summons from going to help the Sandaime. He went, poof, after falling right off the roof of the Chunin exam stadium. Well, this is the end. Even worse, the child who beat the god of shinobi was the son of my late successor. It's almost funny, to be honest. I always thought that Orochimaru would be the one to do that and kill me, since he's been planning it for years, said the Sandame, who was now looking up at the boy in the crimson-black robes with the crossed energy blades, ready to cut off the blonde's head with a flick of his wrists if he wanted to. His act of vengeance was wrong. It's mine. At least you won't be alone in hell, and there will be plenty of people there to keep you company, Naruto said as he cut off the old Kage's head and turned off his lightsabers before picking it up. What's it like? Zabuza said as he saw the blonde staring at the head of the dead Hokage and Naruto's face looking far away. Somewhat satisfying, but it still leaves a lot to be desired, and I think I know where to get it, Naruto said as he put the head on the ground and burned it along with the body with a fire jutsu. And where will you get it? Zabuza said as he saw Naruto's smile getting bigger, which was giving him chills. Really, it's not hard. The grandson of the Sandame is going to join the mist, Naruto said as he looked toward the Hokage monument and pointed to the Sandame's stone head. That's not nice, kid. It's good. Zabuza laughed at the thought of having the grandson of the Sandame Hokage under his command in Mist in the Sarutobi clan being a great addition to his village. Don't worry, Gaki. I'm glad I made that deal with Mist, said the Raikage, who felt alive for some reason other than the fight. He then jumped off to fight any other Leaf Shinobi who were fighting back. So, Naruto and Zabuza went to the Hokage monument, which was where the real war spoils and the power to make Mist a real force to be reckoned with were kept. Hokage Monumenta at some point. Konohamaru was nervous as he waited with the others in the secret safe house area of the Hokage monument, which was full of civilians and academy students, some of whom were from different shinobi families. From how loud the fighting was outside, he could tell that this was the real thing that his parents and grandfather had always told him to be careful about. His friends, Moegi and Udon, were worried that something bad was going to happen to their teacher, Amino Iruka, who was looking worried when he thought no one was looking. As Udon walked up to the teacher, he asked, "Iruka-sensei, is everything okay?" The teacher smiled at him, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Yes, it's Udon. Don't worry, Iruka told the boy to make him feel better, but he knew deep down that it wasn't true and was afraid for the boy's life. Yes, everything is fine, Naruto said as he stood in front of them, and Iruka pulled out a kunai to protect the kids right away. Stay back. I won't let you hurt the children, Iruka said when he saw Naruto smile almost kindly at him and then look at the children in the room where the man was watching. Hurt them? I'm not mean, Iruka-san. I don't hurt kids. I came to see this one to tell him bad news, Naruto said, pointing to Konohamaru and seeing the fear in his eyes. What do you mean? What happened to my grandfather? Asked Konohamaru, shaking his head as he saw Naruto look at him with sympathy. Naruto told Konohamaru, he's dead. Orochimaru tried to kill him, and your grandfather gave his life to kill his former student. He did this because he knew that Konohamaru would be more likely to trust him if he thought his grandfather died as a hero, and if he sounded like he was respected for it. No. You're lying. That's impossible. My grandfather is the Sandame Hokage and the strongest shinobi in the village, Konohamaru said as he saw Naruto shake his head and threw the metal helmet of the Sandame battle armor in front of the boy. I wish that were true, my boy, but the reality is that war kills those we love, and there will always be casualties. Your village has lost, your leader is dead, and most of the people in the Leaf will not make it through the day, Naruto said as he saw Iruka fall to his knees and stare at the helmet piece of the Sandame before seeing the Konohamaru and his friends start crying over the loss of such a great man. Moegi asked, what do we do? Because she was worried about what would happen to her and all of her friends. You must come with me, Lil One. All of you must come with me to Mist. There, you will find a new future and happiness that you can't find in the Leaf, Naruto said as he looked at the kids nervously staring at him and Iruka, who was too shocked to say anything to break the blonde's hold on them. And you can train us to be shinobi? Asked Konohamaru when he saw Naruto nod his head yes. He felt safe around the older boy for some reason. Yes, I can, but Mist's way of teaching is very different from Leaf's, and it won't be easy, Naruto said as the kids nodded in agreement. He then made a hand motion before Haku appeared in front of him through an ice mirror, which made the kids look very scared. "Yes, Naruto-sama?" asked Haku, who didn't take off her mask in front of the kids. "These kids want to join our group to get stronger. Please be quiet and make sure to get them to a safe place away from the fighting," Naruto said as he used the force to calm the kids' fears and make them think they were now in good hands. Iruka was the only one left. He quickly came out of his daze, glared at Naruto, and then stood back up. Iruka said to Naruto, who was looking at him with red eyes, "You lied to those kids. The Sandaime didn't die killing Orochimaru. It was you. You killed the Hokage. This made the Chunin nervous. And what if I did? If they knew the truth right now, I would have to call some mist Anbu to kill them all, and I don't want to give an order to kill innocent children. I told them a lie so they could go on with their lives without any problems. I don't want to hurt the Sandaime's only grandson, if that's what you're thinking." Iruka was about to charge Naruto when a blade came out of the man's stomach. Kimimaro was holding the blade, having killed the man while hiding in the shadows of the already dark room. "Blame the Sandaime for this, Iruka-san. It was because of him that I came to hate the leaf in the first place," Naruto said as he looked at Kimimaro and nodded for the albino to stop. In an instant, the Kagaya pulled out his blade and quickly cut off the Chunin's head to make the pain as little as possible. Kimimaro told Naruto, "Everything is going as planned, Naruto-sama," when he saw Naruto nod and motion for him to follow. "Of course, my friend. When this is over, we will all have what we want and more," Naruto said as he walked through the dark corridors of the Hokage monument. He knew that the time of the leaf was over. Now was the time of the mist and the shinobi trinity, which he had seen coming in the future and knew would change the world of shinobi all over the elemental countries. "Mitarashi Anko is almost done setting up explosives all over the village, but I think she's enjoying the mission a little too much," Kimimaro said when he saw Anko marking places with explosives in secret the other day. She had a strange look in her eyes that showed she was having a great time doing this. Naruto told Anko what the leaf had planned for her during the 1-month wait for the Chunin exam finals, and the special Junin wasn't too happy about it. Of course she would be happy about this. In the far future, she found out what they really wanted to do to her. "Only when we find out the truth from people we thought we could trust do we realize who our real enemies are," he said. Danzo wanted to use Anko for his Special Projects Division, which was like Orochimaru's lab but wasn't called that because he knew how it would sound. He also wanted to study the Special Junin's Unbroken Seal. That was the official record of what the council talked about, but Naruto found unofficial records in an underground part of Danzo's house that showed he planned to experiment with Anko's seal in a way that would change it so that its power would be passed on to her children. Then came the second part of the project, which Anko had read and which had the Hokage's seal at the bottom. It made her say, "Screw the leaf," before she said, "Hello Mist." Danzo was an old man who was a lot like Orochimaru in that he was obsessed with his own death. So, after he had captured, tamed, and made Anko his always obedient servant, he was going to take her to his bed and make her pregnant with his future children so that he could pass on everything he was going to mix with Anko's curse seal power. The fact that the Sandaime approved of it, for whatever reason he did, which Naruto didn't think was a good reason, was just the icing on the cake that was needed to bring Anko to his side and give her a chance at a new life where people wouldn't hate her for being Orochimaru's former apprentice. So, when he told Anko that, she agreed to help him burn down the leaf. She shook his hand to show that they were now working together, and then she kissed him right on the lips to show that she wanted more later. She walked away with a sway in her hips that he could see through the trench coat. Kimimaro asked, "When do you want the explosives to go off, Naruto-sama?" He knew that the fireworks would start when all the valuable things that weren't nailed down had been taken from the leaf. After that, the leaf would be nothing but a memory. When the time is right, Kimimaro. Don't worry. All of the explosives Anko placed have seals on them that I made that will activate in connection with the starter seal I put a safe distance away that needs my chakra mixed with Kyuubi's to start the process, said Naruto. Yes, but I have to say that the seals you put on them don't seem to work with chakra. Is it from your other power? Kimimaro asked, knowing that Naruto's force was nothing to laugh at and seemed to have a lot of uses. Yes. Nothing is impossible with the Force. Chakra, I'm sorry to say, has limits, which is why shinobi use other arts like sealing, summoning, and weapons to make up for them. However, the Force has no such limits and can do many amazing things when you focus on what you want to do with that power. Even with my own power, I have the skill of a young apprentice Kimimaro, and have a long way to go before I have reached the title of master. Still, using its power on such a large scale will put a strain on your body, Naruto-sama, said the helper Kimimaro, seeing Naruto nod his head and the blonde's grim face. Yes, it will, so keep an eye out for anyone who wants to attack me when I'm weak, Naruto told his albino friend as they walked to the edge of Konoha, where the blonde was kneeling on the ground and meditating. Be careful. If you make even a tiny mistake, it could kill you, Kyuubi warned Naruto as he called on the Force and got ready to use its great power. Naruto didn't answer. Instead, he used all of his strength in the Force to reach out to each of the buildings in the leaf that were sealed. It wasn't easy, because Naruto's concentration was already being tested, and focusing on the image of mist instead of imagining where these places would move didn't help. Even now, the blonde could feel his nose bleeding, his head pounding, and his body hurting in ways he couldn't even imagine. Still, Naruto wasn't the kind of person to stop doing something because of pain, no matter how strong it was. He was used to it, so he pushed on with the seals around the marked buildings. The buildings were there 1 minute, and then they weren't. After a few minutes, Naruto fell to the ground and was struggling to stay awake while Kimimaro called for Tsunade to heal him. I don't know whether to punch you or kiss your forehead knowing that you're still alive, Tsunade said to Naruto as she worked to heal him and saw that the boy was fighting the urge to shrug his shoulders. Either way, I'm sure either one would take away the pain I'm in and make me feel better than I do right now, said Naruto, whose body felt like it had run out of energy. He decided to stay in bed a little longer while Tsunade fixed him up. I just got a full report from our forces, Naruto-sama. Kumo has pulled out, having gotten their fair share of the spoils in terms of jutsu scrolls, various training techniques, and a few various other exercises they could use. We have most of the various members of each of the clans restrained and are being taken back to Mist, though we lost a few of them due to the fighting during the Allied invasion, said Kimimaro with Naruto nodding his head in understanding. And the 2 people I asked to be taken alive and unharmed? Naruto asked, since there were a few others who should have been saved. The ramen chef and his daughter were found with little trouble, said Kimimaro. He saw Naruto nod his head, and the blonde smiled, knowing they were safe. After thanking his godmother for healing him, Naruto said, that's good. What about those who deserve to die in the leaf? Then he got up and walked toward the seal marker. Kimimaro told Naruto, all of those who weren't killed have been held in the stadium per your orders. He knew what Naruto had in mind and that it was going to be a big deal. Good. It's time to end the last chapter of the leaf, Naruto said as he walked over to the seal marker that was wired to hundreds or thousands of explosives all over Konoha. He sat down again in a calmer form of meditation before calling on the Force again, even though it was draining. Using force projection didn't use up too much of what he still had, so he let the cosmic energy fill his body again. At the moment at Konoha Stadium, people from Konoha, most of whom were civilians, came to watch the Chunin exams. They were scared when they woke up in their seats and saw that the stadium was in ruins. Some of the people in the stadium were already dead from the battle, but they hadn't been taken out yet. Seeing death and destruction all around them made them panic. One person asked, "What happened?" before yelling when he saw the dead leaf shinobi at his feet. One person struggled and yelled, "I can't move." The person next to him was also struggling. "People of Konoha, shut the hell up," said Naruto's projected voice. This got everyone's attention, as he projected himself in the middle of the stadium and made sure everyone was looking at him. They were, too. Someone in the crowd said, "You dirty demon. You betrayed the village." And it was clear that everyone in the crowd thought the same thing. It's funny how things change but are still very much the same, and seeing this is no exception. How pitiful you all have become in my absence. Your Hokage is dead, your shinobi, who will defend you, are either dead, or in my custody after learning some specific truths about the leaf. No one will fight for you, no one will die for you, and those in charge that you think will are now dead. Going back to Naruto. When Kimimaro saw the disappointed look on Naruto's face, he asked, arrogant until the end. Yes. Even now, they curse me, demanding that I set them free and treat them like royalty. It won't matter anymore after today, though, Naruto said as he used his chakra to mix with Kyuubi's and put on the seal marker in front of him, then watched it move into the leaf village. As it moved through the leaf, different buildings blew up in rows, and they all led up to the stadium, which had the most explosives attached to it. The Hokage monument was the second largest. It's quite a sight, isn't it, Naruto-kun? Anko asked as she walked up behind Naruto and leaned down so that her breasts were now pressing up against him. Indeed it is, Naruto said. He knew that Anko was trying to seduce him, and he wanted to show his thanks for letting her go. If Haku didn't try to kill Anko first, they could talk about it later in Mist.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.